It's the second day of March. I think tomorrow's Aunt Mandy's birthday. And we had a lot of rain last night, and this morning it just stopped about an hour ago. And all the birds are chirping, and it's gotten pretty warm out. And soon all this rain and the sunshine the days are getting long. Flowers will be blooming very soon. It won't be any time we'll start seeing some flowers start to pop out. And spring, it's time of change. We still aren't technically in spring yet. We still got a couple more weeks, about 18 more days. So we can probably get some cold weather, chilly weather anyways, between now and then. And then we always have the long, chilly springs. And so, so it's just time to think about another season, how that we can reflect on that and enjoy it. One of the things about thinking in our minds is that this is well proven that we can teach ourselves like how to do things in the physical space just by thinking it through in our heads, especially if we combine it with a little bit of actual practice when, of course, when it's possible. But if we can just get a good description of how something works, the other experiences in our lives can be used by our mind to simulate how something is done in the physical world, even if we haven't done it before, but especially if it's something that we have done, but then we can keep improving. And they've shown this in pretty well studied now, that for like athletes, for example, but it doesn't have to be for athletes, where visualizing the motions or whatever it is for the activity that you're doing will allow you to develop the skills. And in fact, in the right combination of practice and mental vision, you can improve better than just by actually not just better, but actually above people who just try to do repetition alone. So the mind is a very strong thing. It's a very, very important aspect of it. People say, well, a great golfer or something will say it's 90% in the mind, and who knows what percentage anything exactly is, but you could also say the whole nervous system, not just the brain, but the nervous system that's all through our bodies. But that's why you so often can see, like on just raw athletic metrics, like how fast somebody is or how strong somebody is or this or that or the other, that alone doesn't determine whether or not somebody is proficient or a master of a certain sport or activity. So like one of the things they've shown is that when you're, like, say, practicing a golf swing or a baseball swing or whatever it might be, you could just say it was art too, that there is a limit to how much improvement you get by just practicing straight up, like repetitions in the real physical way, versus taking a certain number of repetitions, stopping and thinking it through and visualizing it in your mind, and then going back to taking real world repetitions. Your mind and your nervous system needs a chance to process things. And then on a daily basis, that's what happens, they think, when we sleep too. So a lot of rest, the right amount of rest and sleep, again, people don't want to believe this, but because it seems like sometimes we just got to work through things, and there's definitely times where there's nothing else to do but stay on something, even though we're having diminishing returns on what we're doing because of the lack of sleep. But there are times where we have to push through without sleep on things. But it's best to not default to that. It's better, and it's been shown over and over again that you're going to do better, and you're going to actually over time do better by getting the right amount of rest and sleep. Same thing with the visualizations and that sort of thing, than by just sheer physical activity or repetitions. And sometimes that gets pretty dangerous, because it's known for, like, say, doctors and people like that to work extremely long hours. And of course, if they get really good at something and very, very good at it, it probably means they can do things without hardly having to think about it, because they've gotten so much practice so that they can work those long hours. But still, their abilities probably diminish quite more than they want to realize or want to acknowledge or admit when they work very long hours. And of course, there's situations where that's necessary, but then there's also a lot of situations in the world where we don't use our best common sense, and we push too much on certain things. But the real lesson there is just the human brain is just immensely powerful, and it's where most of our abilities as humans come from. That's why at average, most humans are not going to be able to climb a tree or jump from limb to limb and things as well as a monkey or an ape. But the humans, like the gymnasts who do practice that intensely, a lot of that is training the body, but it's the mind that allows them to then do things that even a monkey or an ape won't do, in the way that they can swing around and a bar, or go from bar to bar, do flips or whatever they do. You won't even see monkeys or apes doing that, even trained monkeys or apes. The monkeys and apes are naturally better than almost all humans at those things, but the most trained humans do things that even they can't do. And it's like that, and over again in all these different aspects. Obviously the things that only humans do, but it's just an example of how powerful the mind is. It's the mind that we can train to do so many things, and whether that's art or learning and science and math or athletics or music, it doesn't matter. Give yourself the chance to use your mind and to teach yourself and to let yourself know that, because one of the things that people who discourage other people do is they intercept that. They cut people off from thinking that they're able to learn something or to achieve something. There was a time not that long ago in human history where people actually thought that only a very small percentage of people had the mental ability to learn how to read. That was actually the common line of thinking amongst certain groups of scientists, that it was a small number that they would say could only have the mental ability to learn to read. Now, of course, we know that unless there's some sort of real mental challenge, something, almost all humans can learn to read, and learn to read very well. And so we know there's so many examples of that. But the problem is that if it's your life, it's one thing to talk about it as a society, but there's you, the individual. You don't have time to wait for society to discover that you're able to do this or that. I mean, a huge amount of what stops people is just somebody discouraging them while they're young and naive, or even not even when they're young and naive, even when they're old and just not, and starting new at something. and somebody tells them, oh, this is so hard, it takes years and years to master this or that, or you'll never have those abilities. And it's good to be realistic about what you want to put your time towards, but even getting enjoyment out of just being an amateur at something is a big part of life. So whatever it is that you really want to do, and it seems to have meaning to you, you need to know deep down inside of yourself that with the right amount of effort and work, your mind will be able to solve problems and adjust and grow and develop to do the things that it seeks to do.